From the heart of Virginia to the thrill seekers around the globe, welcome to the epicenter of sports betting bliss, the Gamblers Gazette Podcast. Join the dynamic duo, your host Michael and the legendary Uncle Frank, two generations united by the adrenaline of the game and the buzz of the bet. Dive into heart-stopping match recaps, top picks of the week, and betting tips that could turn your luck. Whether you're placing a bet, analyzing the odds, or just here for some hearty sports banter, Gamblers Gazette is your one-stop destination. Kick up your feet, tune in, and immerse yourself in the world of sports and bets.
My name is Frank, and this is the Gamblers Gazette. I'm alongside my co-host Michael. Michael, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. We're filming a little bit later than usual, but that just means we spent a little bit of extra time researching and getting some good picks out to you guys.
Yeah, I don't think you realize I'm an hour ahead of you. It's 9 o'clock local, and you're at 8 o'clock, and I'm like yawning over here. But I think we got some good content to keep you guys, keep us awake. So let's get right into it. How do we do in the NFL this week?
Oh man, NFL! You really want to start there with the NFL? I mean, it's better.
A little bit better.
Yeah, we definitely did a little bit better than usual, or than we did in the past. Let me see here. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the NFL, we are 17-20 overall for you, and 16-21 for myself. There, how'd you do this week specifically?
5-4 this week. I picked the Bucks over our hometown Eagles. Eagles, like we've been saying, or I've been saying, they just aren't clicking. I'd be very surprised if Sirianni makes it to the end of October if this continues. He came right out and said the next day, I didn't have my team prepared. Why didn't you have your team prepared? You have all week. That's your job. You got to get these guys up and ready to go. And you're coming out and saying that. So they have an off week this week, so hopefully some things get ironed out.
Yeah, I think you made a great point last week. I think you said if Saquon Barkley wasn't there, then we lose a game. And Saquon Barkley bought Nick Sirianni an extra week. And I think you're 100% right because Saquon Barkley didn't show up this week, and it really showed on the overall outcome of the game.
Yeah, well, I was talking to somebody the day before on Saturday, and I said Baker Mayfield's going to have a field day tomorrow. I didn't realize Slay was playing. He had gotten that late hit out of bounds, that cheap shot by the New Orleans player the week before. He did play, but Baker just lit him up, and they're just not playing well on either side of the ball. But, yeah, so other games that we had the Vikings. We both took the Vikings, had that one. You had a nice pick with the Colts. I took Pittsburgh there, thinking that maybe that defense would stifle Anthony Richardson, but Richardson played half the first quarter, then went out with an injury, and the old statesman Joe Flacco took over, so he had them clicking.
Yeah, you predicted that Joe Flacco would be playing this week, but you said for the Dolphins.
I had no idea he was on Indianapolis. I really did until he came jogging out on the field when Richardson went out. I was like, oh, I guess he's not going to Miami.
Yeah, it looked like he just dropped off his daughter at college and was on his way out onto the field. He looked like he was more gray than the coaches.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, two other games to highlight. You had a nice pick with Washington over the Cardinals. I took the Cardinals thinking that they'd have a little better defense than the Bengals showed the week before. Let me tell you what, Jaden Daniels is for real.
He's the real deal
in many offensive categories, including completion percentage.
Absolutely. Yeah, he looks great. I saw someone make a comment at the beginning of the year that he was going to be the leading rusher for rookies this season. You know, he might just do that.
I think he's well on his way. So yeah. I'm happy to see rookies do well, and I really think this kid's the real deal. The last one, real quick to talk about that neither one of us saw was what happened to Buffalo this week.
Oh my God, they looked terrible. I mean, just like Nick Sirianni did with the Eagles, it looked like the Bills were not prepared at all whatsoever. They didn't have a game plan. They didn't have a scheme going on. They just looked flat. Either that or the Ravens were able just to pick right up on what they were doing and march down the field. And I don't think it hurts when Derrick Henry starts off the game with an 87-yard scamper to the end zone.
87 yards with 3 defensive backs chasing him and him pulling away. That guy defies the odds of nature.
He looks better than ever. I mean, it was supposed to. I mean, what happened to having a fall off for a season? I mean, he looks great.
I've been waiting for 3 years for him to have a fall off, and it still hasn't happened.
He's a better pickup in fantasy than Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. McCaffrey now, I heard he has issues in both legs.
Yeah, I knew better when I made the pick. I mean, I think me and you had this conversation when we were on FaceTime when I was doing my pick in a different league, and you were like, yeah, he's gonna be okay, but I think I knew better at that point. It's gonna be he just has issues with injuries.
Yeah. Well, if you took Tyreek Hill, which was the other guy you were thinking about taking, he's a dud too now with no quarterback in Miami. So
no, it was between him and CD. It was between him and CD, which would still not been that much better, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Let's get into our college picks. Did a lot better there. I was 8-1 in college.
I was gonna say, let me lead you into this one, Frank. What a week for you. Going 8-1 is insane. That was excellent.
Yeah, the 8-1. I was happy. I think the only thing I lost, and we always have to talk about the negative, is I lost an over/under. I think we talked about some bad weather in Indiana. In that Indiana game, Maryland game, and they put so many points up, they blew that over-under out of the water.
And it was really in the second half when they threw those points on the board. I thought we had it covered at the beginning.
Yeah, it was a very slow first half. I think Indiana took a 14-7 lead at the half, and then all the points were scored in the second half. But yeah, looking at this, Rutgers. 2 weeks in a row, Rutgers. Nice win there against Washington. Looked really good. Monogany had a great game. Quarterback did well. We played great on defense. So we're 4-0 for the first time in 12 years, since 2012. Now we go to Lincoln. Nebraska's going to be a tough test, but I hope we should hang with Nebraska.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. They are the real deal. Rutgers is the real deal, and I'm glad that I tailed on that pick. Myself, I went 6-3, so not too bad. Myself, just the legendary Uncle Frank beat me out a little bit on this one. We're tied. We're tied overall in our wins and losses.
I caught you. The one thing I'd like to highlight for you is the Alabama pick.
Yeah.
You took money line there. I took Alabama as well, but you were a little bit more bold, a little extra value there. How about that game? Alabama just dominated the first 3.5 quarters, or 2.5 quarters, and then Georgia came alive, and then it became a game. And Georgia actually took the lead.
Yeah,
with like 2.5 minutes to go. And then one catch to the 17-year-old phenom, and Alabama took the lead right back. 2-point conversion, win by 7, 41-34.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hit the app right. I sent you a text right as Georgia was scoring, just saying. I was like, oh yeah, we swept the day, and guess what? I spoke a little bit too soon. It was almost detrimental to my picks.
Yes, but yeah, it worked out though.
Yeah.
And then the other game, and a game I'd like to highlight that you actually were at, was the SMU Florida State game. And SMU, that is one fast-paced offense. Fun to watch.
They're fun to watch. Watching in person was electric. I mean, the whole game was fun to watch, but they look, not only are they fast-paced and dominant, they look like they're doing it with ease. I mean, everyone is just so relaxed. Even at the beginning, they didn't start off so hot, but still, they just looked tough the whole game. Even after they were sacked for a safety in the end zone, they walked off the field, they regrouped, came out, scored right on the next possession, like nothing even happened. So it was great to watch, and even the second half was even better. And also, it was fun because President George Bush did the coin toss at the beginning of the game. So it was really great to see, and I'm glad I'm actually utilizing my sporting events I get to watch here in Texas.
Yeah, the pictures that you sent from that venue were really nice. It looked like a really beautiful stadium inside.
Yeah, I had front row seats.
And you caught the some of the pictures right at dusk, right at sunset. The game was, I think, a 6:30 local start.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. And the last one before we get into this week's pick, you actually clipped something into a TikTok. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, Illinois versus Penn State. Oh man, I did not see that line turning out where it was. It was an 18-point line. They ended up winning. Penn State wound up winning by 14, so a little closer than I thought it was going to be. But nonetheless, clipped it into a TikTok. Got a win there. Follow along on our TikTok. We're also doing this thing called the bankroll battle, where we compete against each other to see who has the most wins and builds a bankroll the biggest they can before the end of the month, and then we'll restart it at the beginning of each month. So join in. It's fun to follow along. I'm winning by a lot right now, which is great. I'm looking forward to beating Frank each and every month and growing a following while we're doing it.
Yeah, that's a great addition to the channel that you had. Yeah, I'm behind you a little bit, but I'm coming for you. Kind of like the college picks. I was a couple behind you entering last week, but I caught you, so we're tied now. So don't get too relaxed.
There you go. All right, let's move into our picks for this week.
All right. Hey, before we do our picks, did you want to talk about the rankings? We had some. Oh, actually, let's do the Heisman first. Then we'll do the rankings because we had some movement.
There you go.
So it looks like Jalen Milroe moved up the board, now leads at a plus 270 for the Heisman Trophy leaders. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
After that showing in Georgia, I mean, Georgia had nothing for him to stop him, and Georgia is probably one, or if not the best defense in the country. Here's a name on the board, which I'm happy to see. Two-way player from Colorado, Travis Hunter. This kid is a phenom as well. Just great athlete on both sides of the ball.
Good person.
I was actually talking to somebody last weekend about this, and we're like, why is this kid not at least in the top 5? And he wasn't even on the list last week. He jumped up to number 2. Cam Ward had another decent game against Virginia Tech. They won that game at the end. Actually, was it Tech that had the call for no touchdown, or was it mine that got the touchdown?
It was Tech who had the call for no touchdown. What an absolute crapshoot of a call from the refs. Absolutely ridiculous. He caught the touchdown pass. Virginia Tech won the game, but nonetheless, here we are. Cam Ward sitting at number 3.
Okay, and then another name we haven't seen in the first 5 weeks that's popped onto the board is Ashton Jeanty. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Boise State phenom. Went for 26 carries, 259 yards, and 4 scores against Washington State this past weekend. So he's jumped on the board. And then Nico dropped to 5. They were off last week. But they have a huge game going to Fayetteville in Arkansas this week.
Yeah, definitely. And then Gabriel is sitting at number 6 as an honorable mention. But yeah, a lot of shifting around. And I think I'm going to be honest here. If we can get Quinn Ewers somewhere back into this top 5 at some point, maybe take out, I don't know, maybe take out Ashton Jeanty and put some Quinn Ewers in there. I think that would be the ideal top 5. But really excited to see both Travis Hunter and Jalen Milroe at the top of this list. Both are phenomenal players. And I think Jalen Milroe, as of right now, if the season were to end, I think he deserves it.
Well, you're living down there in Dallas. Have you heard anything on when they expect Ewers back?
Yeah, they're going to have him back for the Red River rivalry.
which is this coming
the 12th.
weekend.
It's the 12th.
The 12th.
Yeah.
I think they have it right now.
Because they're on bye. They're on bye this week.
They're on bye this week.
Yeah.
I think they have it right. I mean, you see Nico move down the board. You saw Milrow move down the board last week when teams are on bye. Ewers has been out for the last 3 weeks, I guess it'll be.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's no surprise he's off the board. He's going to have to work his way back onto it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think... I mean, obviously he wants to win the Heisman, but his health and his overall stock in the draft is the most important. So rushing it back for the Heisman Trophy isn't ideal. But yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. Do you want to see the little bit of the shift here that we have in the rankings?
For sure.
Yeah, let's take a look at that
and
as
I
well.
I agree with them. I'm looking at them as well here on my notes.
Yeah. They are pretty interesting. At first, I was a little skeptical because I am starting to like Texas living down here, being a little bit of a Texas fan. And the coaches poll still has Texas ranked at number 1. But the one that matters, the AP Top 25, has had Alabama take a little bit of a leapfrog action here.
For sure. And I think it's well deserved. Alabama leapfrogging from 4-1 with the nice win against Georgia at home last weekend. Texas had an okay win against Mississippi State. Not the beatdown that was expected. I think they were 36.5-point favorites, won 35-13. Ohio State stayed at number 3. Tennessee moved up to number 4. They were off last week, and Georgia drops to 5. And then to round out the top 10, you got Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Mizzou, and Michigan back in the top 10. How about that?
Yeah.
And the only one I think that dropped was Ole Miss from 5 to 12 with the huge win by the University of Kentucky. I didn't see that coming. First time UK has beaten Ole Miss at Ole Miss since 1978, so congratulations to UK.
UK's been playing a tough season. I mean, they had that other game earlier this season where they played Georgia really tough as well.
For sure, and UK is no right. Great defense. The offense is the thing that needs to get a little bit better to push them over the top, and then finding their way into the top 25, tied at 25th, is A&M and UNLV. UNLV ranked in the top 25 for the first time in school history. So congratulations to UNLV.
Yeah, this is honestly, I would say, the standings that I've agreed with the most.
For sure. I think they got it right. I think they've been doing a really, really good job with the standings this week.
Great
this
job.
Year so far.
Phenomenal job. Yeah, this is 100% where I'm standing right now. I mean, Texas and Alabama could go back and forth, and I was a little annoyed at the beginning when I saw that switch, but then once me and you talked about it, I 100% agree with Alabama, and I 100% agree with your take there. They had a way better win this week, and they deserve it.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our picks for this week.
Let's see here.
You can throw up your little slide there, and then we'll get going on that.
Yeah, let me see here. Let me get back over there and get this shared.
All right, Syracuse UNLV. How about that? That's going to be tomorrow night, Friday. Actually, no, today is Wednesday night. That'll be Friday night. Syracuse going to UNLV. UNLV trying to go 5-0. Gonna have a tough time of it, I think, this week. Syracuse has a quarterback named Kyle McCord, a Ohio State transfer. Listen to these numbers: 1,459 yards, 14 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's slinging the ball around. You're gonna have picks in there. Run game is there, right? Allen 287-1, and Pena has 26 catches for 316 yards and 5 touchdowns. This quarterback for Syracuse has 300 yards plus in every game this year.
Wow.
So, does UNLV, are they able to stop that? They had a nice win last week. By the way, they won that game against Fresno 59-14. I had that one. And I had said on the podcast last week, they're going to put up 50. And you're like, 50? And I said, well, maybe I'm exaggerating. Well, I was. They put up 59 to Fresno State. But UNLV played with a backup quarterback who was actually the starting quarterback, kid from Campbell named Malik Williams. Went for 182-3 last week.
Wow.
Took over for Sluka and had a great win. But that defense or that passing attack for Syracuse, I think it might be too much. I mean, the Rebels are 10th in the country in points in 45, and they're 16th on defense, giving up 14. But they haven't played a passing attack like Syracuse. So I'm going to go Syracuse plus 6.5. And let's do the over-under in this one as well. The over-under is 60. And who do you like, and what do you think for that over?
Yeah, I don't think 6.5 points is enough. I mean, Syracuse might hang close and score a lot of points and make it a battle, but at the end of the day, UNLV is too tough and too strong here. I'm taking UNLV at minus 6.5, and I'm definitely taking the over. I think this game is going to be a shootout, and I think that Syracuse will put up a lot of points, like I said, but it's not going to be enough here to get within 6.5. I mean, let's say if it was closer to 8 at that 8-point line there, I would maybe say that Syracuse would get close on this, but I don't think so.
I'd be happy with a 7.5 point. I'd be happy with a 7.5 point, but 6.5 is kind of sketchy, but I'm still going with it. And definitely, I agree with you. I see shootout as well, so give me the over 60 as well.
All right. Let's move on to the next one here. SMU, the team we just spoke about, versus Louisville. SMU, kind of a little bit surprising here that they're a 6.5 point favorite. What do you think on this one?
SMU is not a 6.5 point favorite. They're a 6.5 point dog.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, they went off at a 7-point dog. Let me just double check that. Yeah, Louisville was a minus 7. It's down to 6.5 now. So, SMU going to Louisville. Last time they met was in 1984. I love SMU's pace of play. We discussed that earlier. Louisville is no slouch. They played Notre Dame tough at Notre Dame. Tyler Shaw won 1,114 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick, and they have an Alabama transfer named Jaquambi Brooks, 368 and 4. SMU hasn't had a road game since late August when they just beat Nevada. I like Louisville here, so give me Louisville minus 6.5.
Yeah, I might need it might be a little bit of a homer pick, so I better caption that before I do it. But you know, I saw something that impressed me last week with SMU and being at that game. They were able to handle, not that Florida State's good at all, but they were able to hand them pretty easily. This is a good amount of points to be getting. So give me SMU at plus 6.5. We're disagreeing so far on all of our picks, but I think I think they're able to actually pull out a win here. But nonetheless, let's give them some points and give them plus 6.5.
Okay. The next game is funny, or not funny. I need to know, because I had looked this up earlier, if Castellanos is playing quarterback for BC this week, because that's going to kind of determine my pick. But, yeah, Castellanos 729, 10 and 2, and then their wide receivers 279 and 2. Both teams having good seasons. BC's 4-1, had a nice comeback win with the backup quarterback against Western Kentucky last week. The Hilltoppers. UVA is playing well. BC's 42nd in the country on D and has the 24th ranked offense. But UVA is doing well too. 62nd ranked offense and 34th ranked defense. But I think BC should be able to run the ball on UVA. So I like BC +1 here.
Yep, I'm taking the same exact thing. I think your thought process is 100% correct. I think that Boston College is able to run the ball and really shove it down the throat of UVA. So let's take Boston College at +1 here.
I'm going to go one further. I'm going to take Moneyline BC.
Oh, wow. I'm still going to keep it at +1 just in case.
I'm just hoping Castellanos is playing. Like I said, it's still up in the air. I mean, the backup, I don't know who the backup is, but whoever it is came back on Western Kentucky, but coming back on UVA is going to be a little bit more difficult with the backup, so I'm hoping he's playing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with that pick.
Sounds good.
All right, Ole Miss at South Carolina. How do you see this game playing out?
Oh, I don't know. Man, this one is going to be tough. Ole Miss coming off of a tough loss last week that they need to bounce back from.
Yeah.
So, but, at the same time, South Carolina has really impressed me this year. They've played great, and 9.5 points are a lot of points. Shane Beamer's got his team looking really good this season, playing some tough games out there. Not necessarily winning them, but keeping them close, covering the spread. So in this one, give me Ole Miss at +9.5. I do see the potential for this game for Ole Miss to have a chip on their shoulder and come back and just dominate and completely beat South Carolina by a lot. But at the same time, they didn't impress me last week, so I don't even know if they had that capability in them. So with that being said, South Carolina +9.5.
Oh, you had said Ole Miss +9.5. Okay, so South Carolina +9.5. Okay. And I kind of see your philosophy and your thought process, and I'm going the opposite way. I think, or I'm saying, they had that tough loss at in Louisville last week.
Kentucky.
And I really, in Louisville, Kentucky. Isn't that where they play? No, they play in Lexington.
Yeah.
But I see them coming back with some fight this week and being upset. So
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Jackson Dart. Was Jackson Dart still on our Heisman Trophy?
No, he's not.
He dropped off.
Yeah.
1,815 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He's not
even in the top 6. Wow. He's not even in the top 6.
And then Trey Harris has 49 catches for 804 yards and 5. I think Lane Kiffin is going to have these guys ready, and I'm going Ole Miss -9.5 here.
It's a good pick. I mean, I see it, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Man, we got the 4-0 Pittsburgh versus UNC. UNC making its debut on the Gamblers Gazette podcast for this season. What are you seeing in this one? I mean, this is UNC has had an interesting past couple of weeks. I mean, it looked great against Duke last week, but then lost 70-50 versus JMU.
Well, they lost last week too.
Yeah, but looked better.
They had a 20-0 lead, and Duke beat them 21-20.
Yeah, but looked better. They looked better than they did.
Better. I don't know what's going on in UNC. I love this quarterback for Pitt, Eli Holstein. 1186, 12 and 2, and their wide receiver Mumpfield 23, 15 and 3. You hit the nail on the head. UNC, what team are you gonna get? I don't know. Criswell, their quarterback, he's all right. 889, 6 and 3, and then their wide receiver JJ Dynamite Jones has 264 and 1. UNC won this meeting last year 41-24.
Wow.
Pitt is 6th in the country in yards per game with 522 and 5th in points with 48.5. Give me Pitt -3.
Absolutely. I think this pick is one of the easiest of the week. Pittsburgh is going to go and they're going to beat the brakes off of UNC. Give me Pittsburgh at -3. I think -3 is going to change throughout this week, but let's for the sake of the podcast, Pittsburgh -3
for sure.
All right, this is another great game I'm seeing this week. I picked against Texas A&M last week, and I said it even on the podcast, and I'm going to regret it. Give me Texas A&M straight off the bat -2 here.
Hey, we both got this right and wrong last week. It was a push. It was
Yep.
a -4 and A&M won 21 to 17 against Arkansas.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the only top 25 matchup. You got Mizzou, number 9, going to number 25, A&M. A&M is a -2. I love the quarterback for Missouri, Brady Cook, 946, 4 and 1. And they have a receiver named Weiss who has almost 300 yards in reception yards. Now, Texas A&M has been playing with a backup quarterback. His name's Marcel Reed. 585 and 6. He's 3-0 though.
Wow.
He's beaten Bowling Green, Florida, and he beat Arkansas last week. Now, from what I'm hearing coming out of College Station is the starter Wegman might be ready to go. But I'm like, why mess with it if it isn't fixed?
Yep.
Now, Texas A&M is 13th in the country in rushing. But here's two stats I found against the spread. A&M is 1-6 at home against the spread in their last 7. Mizzou is 7-1 on the road in their last 8. Give me Mizzou +2 here.
Oh, wow. A little bit of a change up there. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that.
Pat McAfee like, but
No, but we'll see how that turns out. We have a lot of different picks this week, so we're gonna make a real stance on who's the better picker overall.
that's for sure.
All right. This one is an exciting one as well. I think we're
this is
gonna be
I
in
like this
full
game.
agreement here so far. 13.5-point favorites for Tennessee. What are you seeing with the Heisman candidate in Tennessee?
This is going to be a good game. This is going to be another true road test. Nico passed a good road test in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. They were off last week. But Arkansas may have something to say about that. The last time Arkansas beat a top 5 opponent at home was November of 1999 against, you guessed it, Tennessee 28-24. Nico 892 7-2. Coming off a good win, like I said, in Oklahoma. They got decent running. They got decent receivers. We talked about Taylor Green a little bit last week with the Texas A&M game. He's a dual threat quarterback. I think the O-line for Tennessee is better than the Arkansas defensive line, so I think they'll be able to rush the ball. And I think Nico does well. Give me Tennessee -13.5 here.
Yeah, I'm taking Tennessee -13.5. I don't think it's nearly enough points for Tennessee. Their fiery offense is able to strike quickly, and like you mentioned last week, I think they said they have the quickest time of possession, or
Yes,
the quickest
fastest pace of play.
fastest pace of play. So I think that really helps them out in this scenario, and they put up a lot of points in quickly. I mean, Arkansas is a great school or a great team and a great competition, but I don't think in this game with a team that's playing on a whole nother level.
Yeah, and Arkansas, I mean, you look at their record, they're 3-2, but their 2 losses are close. I mean, 4 points to A&M at A&M, and they lost to OSU in double overtime.
Right.
But I don't think they can hang with Tennessee.
I agree here, and I think these points will also skyrocket as well as we get closer to game time. But we'll see.
I did a parlay with these guys already today because I know that Tennessee number should jump up, and I'd rather have 13.5 than 14.5 or higher.
Absolutely, it's a great time to jump on it. So if you guys are watching this the day it comes out, and maybe even the morning after, that's going to be a great snag if you can. All right, last college game of the week here. We got Texas Tech versus Arizona. This might not be the last one. I don't know. But
No, this is the last one for college.
Arizona at -6 here. Ooh, man.
Well, we have Texas Tech for the first time. First time we're seeing that logo. We've had Arizona a couple of times. A battle of Big 12 matchups, which looks funny with Arizona because they're usually Pac-10.
Absolutely.
Pac-12.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, 28th in pass frequency and 8th in pace of play. Typical Texas Tech air raid kind of offense. but they've only been on the road one time this year, and that was at Washington State, and they lost. They scored 16 points in that game.
Yep, 16-37.
So, yeah, now they're going on the road. Listen to these numbers. The quarterback for Texas Tech, in the last 2 years, his last name is Morton. I didn't put his first name. But in the last 2 years, at home, he has 21 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Wow.
On the road, 5 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Wow.
So, Arizona is a much better defense than he's seen against the pass. Texas Tech is 87th against the pass and 129th in pass rush, which Fafita of Arizona should be able to throw all over this Texas Tech team. And I think they can contain Texas Tech. I mean, containing that maybe like 24 points, maybe 31, but I think Arizona puts up more than that and covers. So give me Arizona here, -6 at home.
Yeah, I agree here. Arizona at -6. I mean, coming off a big win versus Utah, number 10 seed there. I think that their team is moving in the right direction. I mean, they played Kansas State the week before. They're playing a lot of teams that are ranked and playing well. So even though they lost 7-31 versus Kansas State, it still gave them the experience of playing one of those top 15 teams. So with that coming back to back in the last 2 weeks, I think that they're poised and ready to take on a team that just doesn't live up to that potential. So give me Arizona at -6 here as well.
Yeah, you definitely have the epitome of a great home, a team that plays well at home, and a team that not so well on the road. So
yeah, this is going to be.
I mean, this all stats and all logic says Arizona here for me.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be the game I watch when I have insomnia at 10.
Yeah, it comes on 11 o'clock Eastern.
11 o'clock Eastern. I'll be on the East Coast for this one as well.
Oh, that's right. You're on vacation this week.
Exactly. So you'll see a new backdrop next week when I film this from Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Are we going to film next week when you're on vacay?
Absolutely.
All right, we got to keep the pod going.
I got a separate bag for all the equipment.
I'll be in Tampa the week after, so I'll have to find a nice room where I'm staying to do the podcast that week.
There you go. All right, let's jump into our NFL picks of the week. You want to take it away on this one?
Yeah, Jets and Vikings. Vikings are playing phenomenal football. They got a little laxed in the second half last week against Green Bay, but they were so far up and just dominating that game against Green Bay that they had a nice win. Somebody I know put some money down on that game and had a nice win. I think Michael. But anyway,
just a little bit.
Jets had a bad loss to Denver last week at home at the Meadowlands in the rain. I don't think it's close here. Give me the Vikings -2.5.
Yeah, give me the Vikings at -2.5 as well. Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, Jones, everyone looked great last week, and I want to start this conversation off with the NFL picks by saying I did more research this week. I am sick of being under 50 or under 500 for wins there. We're coming for it. We're gonna have a big week here, and we're gonna get this podcast moving in the right direction. We're not just a college-only football podcast. We are all sports, and NFL is included there.
That's true.
All right, let's move on to this.
What do you see on this one?
Yeah, this next one is going to be a tough one to pick because the Ravens looked like the best team in football this week. They looked like they were phenomenal, and I think, I mean, I'm going to just say my pick starting off the bat. It's going to be Ravens at -2.5 here, and I think the thing is they were trying to do too much in the first couple of weeks. It was almost like they were trying to save Derrick Henry, or they didn't think that Derrick Henry was as good as he used to be, or maybe not giving him as many carries. But now they're working Hill in. They're getting some good running plays. They're pounding the ball down teams' throats. They had 2 good rushing weeks in a row, and I think that continues here when they're easily able to put away the Bengals.
Okay, yeah, I see a Ravens -2.5 here. I really didn't understand the Buffalo Ravens game last week. Vegas called it though. They had the Ravens as a -2.5 favorite, with Buffalo coming off a huge smoking of Jacksonville. And I mean, when do you see Josh get beat 35-10? Not often.
And spend most of the day on his back.
And spend most of the day on his back. And the Bengals had their first win against a Carolina team. I mean, a win's a win, right, in the NFL? So they had their first win, but I just haven't seen much from the Bengals. I mean, Chase is doing well. Higgins hasn't clicked yet. They have some backup guys, some tight ends. Their running game's okay. Chase Brown had a nice game last week.
Yes, he did.
I think the Ravens are too tough here. Give me Ravens -2.5.
Wow, we're in agreement here so far. Let's move on to the next one. Oh man, I hope that Buffalo turns things back around and that this turns out to be a great game that it should be. What do you see on this one?
Yeah, I see a big comeback. I see a very close game, and so does Vegas. A -1 for the Texans here. I also see a high-scoring affair. I see a shootout. What's the over-under in this one? Let's do the over-under in this one.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Go ahead.
Let me pick it. Let me check it.
Okay.
The over-under for this game
It's going to be 47.5.
47.5. I'm going to go over here. I think both teams are going to throw a lot here. Nico Collins having a great year, leads the receivers in yards.
Great week last week.
Yards or catches or both. There's somebody else right there with him, and I can't think of who it is. Maybe Justin Jefferson. But after that showing in Baltimore last week, I don't see Buffalo having 2 bad weeks in a row. But I see a close game and kind of a shootout here. I'm going to go Bills here, -1.
Ooh.
Actually, I'm going to go Bills. Oh, it's -1, not money line. -1.
Well, it would be so Texans are favorited. So
Texans are favored. Then let me give me the Bills money
line.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
All right. I think it flip flopped in the last couple of minutes. So I am actually it flip flopped. It did flip flop in the last couple of minutes.
Did it?
Yeah. So you're right. So it's going to be your best bet would be Bills -1.
Okay.
I'm going to take Houston money line for the same thing you were just trying to do.
Okay.
Because Houston is +1. Give me Houston money line. I think Houston's going to win this game by a good amount. Actually, that's false. I don't think that. I think Houston's going to win this game. I don't know by a good amount.
By a lot.
Not by a lot, but I think Houston's going to win this game. So give me Houston at +1 here.
They're just such a good team. Like we talk about them all the time. They're a bunch of young kids, bunch of stars, and I enjoy watching them.
Yep. Yeah, Houston money line. I think that they're able to. Put
it
a
did
win.
flip flop because I have Texans -1 here.
Yeah, I know. When we made this, it was
That's
about
crazy.
2 hours ago. Yeah,
That's probably gonna go up and down, or a little bit more for maybe the Texans. I don't know.
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. How about Mr. Jaden Daniels?
Looking good,
What
man.
a star this kid is gonna be, and I hope he's not a one-hit wonder and like an RG3 back in 2012. Where he had such a great year, and then that was the end of that. And this guy, I hope, is the real deal. So much fun to watch. I totally missed the call last week against the Cardinals. It doesn't matter what defense or this kid's playing. They scored 42 points last week for the first time since 2016.
Wow.
Doesn't sound like a long time, but that's 8 years ago. So I don't even have to say much here. I'm going Commanders -3.
I'm going Commanders -3 as well. As exciting and great as Jaden Daniels is at playing, Deshaun Watson is equally as unimpressive.
Disappointing.
Yeah. So I don't think he's able to continue. I don't think he's able to hold with Jaden Daniels. I don't even think it's close. I think -3 is really accurate here. Terry McLaurin looking great this season as well. He looks like he's a young kid too.
2 great games in a row. When the first 3 games, or what are we going into? Week 5, the first 2 games, it looked like, oh, it's just going to be the same Terry McLaurin again. And the last 2 games, he's lit it up. So these guys needed a few weeks to get the timing right, and I think it's going to be a really productive duo for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And another thing is, I think they have Zach Ertz, don't they?
Yes, they do.
He looks pretty good also this season. And last thing,
Zach Ertz is doing better than the other town close to Washington, Baltimore's Andrews hasn't done anything.
What is up with that?
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
He had no targets 2 weeks. What's his first name?
Mark.
I was thinking Matt, and I knew that wasn't right. Mark Andrews had no targets 2 weeks ago and 1 target last week.
Yeah, and they dropped it. It hit him right in the hands, wide open.
Right, and no, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're not throwing to him. But, I mean, all these stud tight ends are doing nothing this year.
I will say, he not to revert back to our previous slides, but Lamar Jackson does have another pick there, a second target with Isaiah Likely.
Yes.
He's looking excellent this season, and I mean he is tight end number 1 for the Ravens this year.
He's so good, he's likely to get the ball.
There you go. And the last thing I want to say about this slide specifically is that new logo. I actually really haven't paid attention to it for Washington, but that's a neat logo. I like that a lot.
Does it depict anything?
It's a W.
Well, I know it's a W, but
I know. I was trying to figure that out.
The shapes, maybe just the shapes.
I don't know, but it's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's nice.
All right, moving on to this next one. I don't know.
Packers,
what do you see here?
3.5. I actually did. Yeah, that went down too, so that's 3 now. Packers at -3.
Mm-hmm.
Rams just are just too depleted right now. No Cup, no Puka. Kerryon Williams, he's carrying the load. Stafford hasn't looked good, not getting enough time to throw the ball. And then when he does have time to throw it, the only guy he has now is Tutu Atwell. I like Green Bay for a nice comeback here after getting beat last week at home against Minnesota. Give me the Packers -3.
Yeah, Jordan Love is back as well. So
had a great game too.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the kid Malik Wilson, I believe. That was
Malik Williams.
Williams, yeah, that was taking his spot when he was gone. I like him, and I think maybe they could have given him one more week at the helm there. But Jordan Love is so great, and comparatively to the weapons he has around him, compared to the Rams, I think there's no question that they're able to put this one away by at least 3 points here.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know who LA goes to with the ball unless they give it to Kerryon 40 times.
Yeah, or Blake Corum, throw him in there.
Yeah.
See what happens. Michigan graduate, won the national championship last year.
Right. Yeah, you got him too. Throw him in there for a little bit.
He could catch the ball. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ooh, baby, this is gonna be a close one. It's the Cardinals versus San Francisco at -7. Do you think -7 is too many points here?
No.
No,
I Cardinals last couple of weeks haven't looked good. Lost to Detroit at home, and then they get blown out at home by Washington. You know what I saw last week, and I thought of you?
Huh?
The quarterback. Can't think of his name.
Caleb Williams? Or
yes.
Not Caleb Williams. No, Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. That indecisiveness, coming over on the sideline, being pissed off. I saw exactly what you were talking about, that immaturity. That
he still has it.
Immaturity coming over on the sideline, and it's everybody else's kind of fault.
Yep.
He hasn't played well the last couple games. He had the one nice game against the Rams.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. He's not. I don't see him having a above average game against the Niners defense. Give me 49ers -7.
Yeah, I am leaning towards agreeing here. Last week when I didn't pick San Francisco at -10 in that game because I thought it was too many points, and that was proven to be incorrect. 49ers look better than I anticipated. Jawan Jennings is, picking up the slack in the absence of everyone else. And then at the same time, Jordan Mason looks like it's like, is that Christian McCaffrey back there? It's just like someone that is just picking right up with his. He took the opportunity that he was given, and he's making the best of it. He's picking right up from the schemes that were put in place for McCaffrey, and it's like they're not even missing him. So I think the team is looking great. All honestly, besides Brandon Ayuk, who looks like he's struggling a little bit there, but everyone else is looking excellent.
Yeah, we talked about Purdy last week and him just making everybody around him better. He finds the open guy. He doesn't make the big mistake. And you brought up Jawan Jennings. I have to correct myself from last week and give you the big you got it correct when I asked the question, who has caught and thrown a touchdown in a Super Bowl? And it wasn't wide receiver. It was open to the whole gamut of players. And you were right. It was Nick Foles, the Philly in the 2018 Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, because when you said that, I thought it was like, did Trey Bennett or Burnett, whatever the guy's name was, who threw the pass to him? I was like, did he catch a touchdown pass also in that game?
It was Foles. You were correct in that. So good job.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I actually thought about that a little bit over the week. I was like,
I give credit where credit's due. As soon as you said Jawan Jennings, I had made a mental note to bring that up today because I said I'd find out what the answer was, the second one, and you had reminded me when you said Jawan Jennings. So
awesome. Well, I appreciate the props there. All right, let's
there, nephew.
Yep. All right, so I got -7 for 49ers. Moving on to the next one here. This game last week with the Seahawks was phenomenal.
Good game in Detroit.
Yeah, the only way that you could beat the Seahawks last week is if you went perfect in completions, and that's what Goff did. They looked great here. Kenneth Walker, phenomenal. Running all over the Lions there, which the Lions have a pretty tough defense as well. So I think he's looking excellent. Tyler Lockett got involved. DK Metcalf, looking young as ever, was out there. Geno Smith was looking great. Everyone was looking excellent. I think the only thing is they got a little bit out of their sorts at the end. Maybe they're not the best in the 2-minute drill. At the end of the game, they were snapping the ball when Geno wasn't even looking, stuff like that. But other than that, absolutely great game, and I think they're able to easily put away the Giants by at least 6 points.
Yeah, I agree. New York having to go across the country. New York has kind of impressed me a little bit the last few weeks. Malik Neighbors has had 2 big weeks in a row, which means Daniel Jones is finding him. Mm-hmm. But that's really all they have. They have Singletary also. I think with all those weapons you just said and highlighted for Seattle, I give it to Seattle -6 here. But I think it's going to be closer than you think. I think they're going to cover, but I also don't see a blowout. Giants had a nice, they lost 20-15 to Dallas.
Yeah.
But compared to last year when they lost 40-0 and 49-7, so 89-7 over 2 games, it's a bit of an improvement, but I don't know how good Dallas is.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I see Seattle covering here -6, but I also see New York playing a little bit better than they have.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy was last week I didn't even know that Dallas is playing on Thursday.
Thursday night, yeah.
Yeah, the next day I came in and everyone in Dallas was wearing their Dallas stuff, and I was like, are they getting ready on Friday for the game on Sunday? And then I was like, oh wait, I missed it. But
yep. Yeah, it wasn't much of a game. They had one highlight for CD Lamb people.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game, but I would say it was a better game than it was in the past. In the last season.
Kept it close, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, here. Speaking of the devil.
Is this our last one already?
I believe so, yeah. I'm making great on time here, really getting this down. But Cowboys versus Steelers. Steelers are -2.5 point favorites here. Starting the season off at 3-1, looking pretty great. Justin Fields looks like he's rejuvenated from his time over at the Bears. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, they had a little bit of offense last week, but um, I picked the Colts, or no, I picked the Steelers last week because I figured their defense would stifle or force Richardson into making mistakes. Um, but they put some points up. Jonathan Taylor did well against this defense. Uh, I mean, Justin Fields, average. I mean, when it really counted at the end, when they could have tied the game, he had him coming back. I mean, 4 downs of crap football. I mean, threw two at the feet of a receiver and then got sacked, and then it was fourth and forever, and then the game was over.
Yeah.
He did get him in a position to have him one score behind to get him to that spot, but I like Dallas here, and I'm actually going to go money line here in Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good pick.
You
It's
like
a good.
that?
Yeah.
You
I
got
like.
money line, or are you getting the 2.5, or what do you like?
Oh man.
I mean, this is the pick like last week when I didn't understand the Ravens at 2.5 over the Bills, but Vegas knew something that Vegas always knows, and that's why it's so hard to pick these games. I think that's why we have a little bit more trouble in NFL, because NFL is just like we say it every week. Anybody can beat anybody, and last week was a wacky. This whole year has been wacky. I
Yeah.
mean, we're typically over 500 in NFL. It's
For
just
sure.
been one of those years where it's hard to figure these games out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna go money line as well. I'm gonna go money line as well in this one. I was gonna give him the 2.5, but I think you're right.
Let me ask you a question. You don't have a cowboy hat, do you?
Absolutely not. Oh, I do have a.
No, don't say it. You
so-
better not.
On the refrigerator back there, my next door neighbor, I was great friends with back in Richmond, gave me a bottle opener that has a Cowboys logo on it. Once he found out I was moving here, so it's more so to commemorate him
Okay.
rather than root for the Cowboys.
Well, let me say one thing. If you ever buy a hat or a jersey, your father's never going to let you in the house. He's going to change the locks.
There's no chance ever.
Look at you getting a haircut.
I'm sticking with the Gambler's Gazette hat
All
here.
right. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with Texas. And then starting this Saturday and Sunday, we got the Phillies.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I'm ready for those games. You going to
Yeah.
be able to watch those games Saturday, or are you going to be traveling?
Now I get in, so I fly in at 4:10, the exact same time that the game starts. So I might miss like the first inning, but actually I probably won't even miss the first inning. They do so much crap at the beginning of those playoff games that
Yeah.
it might not be, not to call the national anthem crap, but other stuff as well.
Actually, those playoffs are usually pretty spot on with time. I think it's a 4:08 start,
Oh, is it?
both Saturday and Sunday. So actually, those are good spots. I mean, we'll be back and forth between football and
Well, the nice thing about it is living in Dallas and being away from my family. At least I'll have the at least I'll be with my family for this one.
yeah.
And another thing is, I don't know if you know, but I'm going to be back in Richmond as well for the World Series if we were there. So I have my tickets back to Richmond that weekend, no matter what. Even if we're not in, I'll be
What
back in
weekend
Richmond.
is that? Is that the weekend of the
25th.
25th? All right,
Of October.
I'll be in Florida the 12th to the 19th.
There you go. You're gonna miss the. You gotta get back from Florida in time to
Oh, I will. Can
to
you
watch the
believe
Texas game.
we're just bantering here, but could you believe that the season's over and we're in the playoffs, and that we went to spring training over 6 months ago?
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Actually going on 7 months, because we were down there in early March down in Clearwater.
That's crazy. We made it full circle for the season from spring training now to playoffs. Hopefully,
Yep.
we can say spring train to World Series champions,
Yep.
but we shall see.
So anyway, like Michael said at the beginning of the podcast, we have a new addition to the channel called the
Bankroll battle.
Bankroll Battle.
Frank
And
can still not figure out how to say it
I
yet.
keep saying the back
Bankroll challenge.
Bankroll challenge. It's the bankroll battle. So look for that. And look for Michael drops TikToks all week for our best picks. Actually, the TikToks that you dropped last week,
100%.
100%.
Yep.
Good job there. So, yeah, I feel confident, and I think it was a good one. And any closing thoughts?
No, I'm really confident in our NFL picks this week compared to the previous weeks. I think we differed a little bit on our college picks from each other, but I think we were pretty steadfast on how we thought about our NFL picks, and I think they're going to come true this week.
Yeah. So good luck to you, and safe travels.
Yeah.
And have fun on vacation, and I guess you'll have to find a room off the beaten path next Wednesday night.
I know. Next time we're talking here, I'll be at the beach in a different room, but until then, I'll see you there.
All right, buddy. Have a good week and happy picking.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gamblers Gazette podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. While you're at it, help us spread the word by leaving us a rating and review. But that's not all. Subscribe to our exclusive newsletter using the link in the podcast description and get the lowdown on daily picks and an in-depth breakdown of each game right in your inbox.